Welcome in the next episode of Pragmatic Talks. Today with me is Dariusz Mozgowoj, with whom we are going to discuss how Dariusz is using AI in his day-to-day job as a product manager. Today you will hear about automation that is speeding up the work, but is also increasing the ROI in terms of delivered value.
Hello everyone, that's a way of work which we're gonna show you today. Definitely give me a lot of time, but that's not the ROI I'm looking for. I'm looking for giving more value or reduce the risk, going deeper into the problem. I mean, I'm using this time for getting closer to the client, getting closer to the problem. It pays off, definitely.
This episode will be about using AI to actually increase the human-to-human interaction in product development. Stay with us, and I hope you will enjoy this episode. In this podcast, we talk to founders and experts to share real stories and lessons from building and scaling digital products and companies. Pragmatic Talks is for those who want to understand how digital products are really built and grown. No fluff, no buzzwords, just honest conversations. AI in product development, AI in product manager role. How AI could help product managers like you to work with clients, to work with stakeholders, to work with development team. I know that you have a bunch of things to show us today, but maybe let's start with a short explanation how you are using AI in your day-to-day job.
At this moment, AI in the market can give us a lot of opportunities. Some of them are related to the fact that when we're working in the projects, we're working with a lot of sorts of context. During the time of the project, this context grow up, and it's quite difficult to manage in the head of product manager. I've used the already existing software, Gemini CLI, which was intentionally designed to manage the context for developers. But I managed to use this software to manage also the context, which is the knowledge of the project. And what it gives me the speed. It gives me the chance to quickly connect the dots. So the knowledge from my side and the knowledge which I get from our clients or from the team and compose it into some additional piece of knowledge which give a value. I can also connect with a different branch of tools which also can help me speed up my work. Actually, I see two main areas of improvement when I'm using this in this way. I get a lot more time for thinking strategically. And the second one, I have an option to broader my vision of the data I possess in the project.
I think that we should switch into demo of how you're actually using it.
Sure.
Since picture can tell more than 1,000 words and the video could tell you even more. So for anyone who is right now just listening to this podcast, I strongly recommend you to save it for later whenever you will have time to actually watch the video. It will be a good opportunity for you to actually see what we are talking about. Without it, I think that you may miss some context and you will not get the value from this episode. Of course, if you are not driving or riding on a bicycle or running or whatever, you can just go to our next or previous episode and listen to them. But this episode is mainly provided to you for watching, not for listening. So let's start with a demo.
So first of all, as I previously mentioned, I'm using the Gemini CLI. Just pure Gemini CLI is the software which is like console-based. So managing the files, we have a lot of files, is quite difficult. You have to jump between the terminal and going into the shell, into terminal to looking for files you need. So I decided to use something which is called VS Code. It is IDE for developers. It allows me to see the terminal and files in one place. So it's what is presenting actually on my screen at the moment. I've created the fake project, so not provide you the real data because I don't have any permission from my clients, but it's working exactly the same. It's prepared to actually show you how this process looks like in real environment. I have files on the left. I will comment on these files soon. But first of all, you see the terminal. When I type installed command Gemini, I will start the process of running this Gemini CLI. And you see it's already show up. And it shows also that we doing this installation, it found that we have 5 MCP servers connected. But at the moment, I'm already in the project. So look at these files. Yeah. The most important file is Gemini MD. And this file is like a heart or brain of our project. It contains information related to the project, like general information. Let's say this is a vision, maybe a bit of strategy, kind of personas we're working with, maybe information about our client as well, to who we communicate and how. What we also can have here, you see, we have a description of our business model. And what I also have maybe at the end of it, I put it to, let's say, the product decision log. So if something changed or the client or the market needs something from me, I put it here so the model knows that something is different at the beginning, and it will bring this information when we discuss.
This is like a basic documentation of the project, like all of the strategical decisions, all of the vision of the product, personas, clients, etc. So AI, the model, will have an access to the context of this product that you are building.
Yes, and the key is that this Gemini MD file is loading into the memory of the model each time you starting working with that. So when you're working on your files in this project, this project context is all the time there. So when you have it, and let's say we have some discovery workshop, and we define something like processes. And these business processes I put in a separate directory, and you can see here we have the project, the dummy project, which is called Vitalis. Is about the software for people which would like to take care of their health and health indicators. In this process, when we discuss doing the workshop with our client, we find a couple of processes, business processes, which like building up all the entire business. And let's say one of these is like user onboarding. And each of these process I put in a separate file. And this is additional context. When I work on Gemini CLI, I'm working this Gemini MD context, so the project context, and additional context like the process context.
Are those processes, those other files, uploaded to the model memory by default?
No.
Or you need to ask for them directly?
I need to ask them. Yeah, so that's
it's like a more detailed context that you are only reaching for whenever you are working in this context. So as I assume that way, LLM is not losing the context. It's not exceeding the capacity of its operational memory.
I mean, adding so many files that when I load at once, it will overwhelm the memory of the model, and then you lose the information.
I think this is one of the most common mistakes when people are using LLMs, using AI, both for some kind of creative work and coding, that they are providing everything what they have into the context, and they are counting that the AI will figure out what is what. Like, people do not understand that AI has a lot of limitation, especially in terms of the size of the context that it can process in these operational memory in the one thread that you're using for that.
Exactly.
So that way you have this general file that is always loaded, and you have more specific context for each discussion that you will have with this kind of model.
On top of that, what you already said, there is also the fact that it allows me to combine different contexts as I want in terms of working in a specific case in a project. In here, I can type whatever. Let's say I would like to do something with the file. Gemini have some kind of tools built in this software, and it's actually allow me to write the files, read the files, ask standard prompts. But I don't think it is relevant at this moment. The most important is that I can use a specific command in which speed up my work. Let's say we do something repeatedly. Let's say whatever we have the process, this usually is like a happy path. And we would like to discover the risk around the process to cover it as well in our work. Let's say to help the client to understand how difficult it is. I can show you here, we can put in a special format. It is very easy. It's just have the extension TOML. But the file is like description and prompt. And this is the prompt which actually taken in account the process, which I showed previously, whatever process it is, and uses as an argument. And when you do it, it will generate the as you see, this the example, the risks of table and potential unhappy paths which are related to the process, which is an input.
Okay.
So let's try. So if I want to do this, and I have this file under the commands directory, I can have some subdirectories, but this subdirectories then comes into the name of the tool. So when I do the slash allow me to open the context for the tools. You see, there's a lot of tools. That these tools are actually the tools from Gemini CLI.
Built-in tools, yeah.
Yeah, but I can put start to typing. You see, the name is unhappy. So let's try on this unhappy. It's, as you see, it's in the commands. When we use a slash, it opens the dialog with different tools which we can use. Most of these tools are provided by Gemini CLI, but whatever you add to the commands, it's like become the tools. and you can also bring it into the context of this prompt. So I just need to write the context, and you see this is context unhappy. And when I'm putting now enter, so it's here. And then the first thing which I put after this, or everything that I put after this actually, it's the arguments of this. And this arguments is placed inside of this unhappy.toml file. So let's say that I want to change, find this unhappy for the process we discussed. So the user onboarding, you need to do the this mark at, and then the name of the file. So this is the user onboarding md. Okay. So when I press, it's actually start works and taking the model, and it needs tokens to do the stuff. We take its tokens and to produce like the output. It's a chance that the model understands it, that, okay, I will produce it and then I will save it into the file. And it is also the chance that it will be like first presented to us and we will be asked to confirm it. Whatever happens is sometimes a bit different. We can put specific information in a command that you want it always put in some files. I didn't do that, but because it's not very important for me. When you don't, sometimes it's working to the file and sometimes not. Okay, and you see that at the moment it works. It's just like gives you some very funny conversational information. Like you see, this is the fantasy. Okay, sometimes this happens, so we need to do it again. Something happening to the Gemini. Usually after the second time it works. Yeah, you see that what happened already, it reads the file, it's showing us it reads the user onboarding ND and reading Gemini and ND. So we know that it's in, and now we're seeing defining onboarding steps, assessing potential failure points, and now it starts to work. It takes a bit, but and now it's like it produces 74 lines, so it's actually working like for developers, showing you also the when you work on the file which already exists and you want to modify this file, you see also the difference, showing which line you've been adding and removing. It's a question asked that if you want to allow the ones to applying the change, risk user onboarding. Let's go.
So it's created a new file.
Yes.
With this.
And showing. And so it's presenting it to us here, payload. But you see that I obviously completed the risk analysis and generated the file. And this file show up here. I can open this file. And you see this is like a scenario. The unhappy scenario, ML verification failure. And user register with email, verification fails, ML is delayed, goes to spam or link expires. And then we also have the risk matrix, which is like the probability, impact, and proposed mitigation for all this risk, which been then translated into the scenarios.
So basically, you just replace the role of test analyst, who is looking for this kind of paths to cover with tests and to create the test scenarios or test cases like this for developers or for anyone else to test it. And of course, I believe that developers now can use it for some kind of BDD or test-driven development or acceptance-driven development. Apply the test for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I will show, in a couple of minutes, how to deliver this to developers. But one disclosure here. Whatever it comes out from the model, I don't trust it. To be sure that now at this moment, I will send it to developers and they will code it and everybody are happy. We need to know that the models sometimes hallucinate. So the first thing after I get this information, I will read it and I will reflect it from my experience, from the knowledge I have. And if I see something which is wrong or something which, let's say, what scenario is already covered, then I remove this. And in normal piece, I will show you maybe. I can write here, like to the model. We have this file. You see that when I put this out and I start to write the name of the file, you see this name of the file. So that's how I bring this information in. And I said, okay, I don't like the scenario number 1. It's already covered. Remove it from the list and it will happen. Removal strategy. It sounds very dramatic. As I said, it works exactly the same because VS Code and Gemini is designed for developers. And we see that the difference, which was removed from the file, and it's already removed, I don't need to accept it. If the change is too big, it sometimes asks me to accept it. But in this case, I definitely were very clear that I won't remove it. So maybe that helps. And when we can check now, the first scenario was email verification failure. So let's check. Now we have scenario 2 as the first one. This is a variable connection failure. Okay, so we have kind of scenarios, and what we can do, we can try to get this Gemini and the context, which is already there, and these scenarios, and produce user stories.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Let's try. To do this, I'm using something different. That will be not a tool like Unhappy. That will be the template. So I strongly recommend to use a template generally in working with LLMs. I mean, structurized, standardized the output. So it's very helpful. I here have like the user story template. So my user story looks like the user story description and some kind of like acceptance criteria, maybe some scenarios given when then. And if we have some technical notes and something which is out of scope and we know that, it will be filled as well. This information usually comes after we enrich this data, after we discuss with the team and we get some information from the team, and then we can enrich the user stories with some technical notes. And maybe when we discuss this with the client as well, we see that we don't want to do something and that will be out of the scope. But that's the beginning. So we just have this structure. I can ask it, let's say, okay, please.
Yes, you are very kind when communicating with AI.
Yes. Based on the risk user onboarding, create user stories based on the template user stories, and we can find it in templates here. After that, write it to the risk user stories MD. So I can define myself where the final results should land. This also takes some seconds, not hours, seconds.
Comparing that work that you just done with this acceptance criteria to someone who would have to do this manually, write it down, figure it out, I believe that would be a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Maybe there was like a couple of scenarios, so maybe, like a 2 hours or something like this. But still, those are 2 hours that you just shrink into, like a minute.
In a minute, yeah. Plus, I mean, maybe a couple of minutes, because after that, as I previously mentioned, I need to go through and check. But this is check. This like then I'm using my experience. I'm not like a writer. I'm just using my brain to work with this and checking if everything is fine.
Much faster than anyone who would be checking also the manual work that they do.
Exactly. Okay, so you see, it also shows us the payload, but we have also a new file, risk user stories. We can show this here. So this is like the first user story. As a patient, I want to be informed and guided when my wearable devices fails to connect, so that I can understand the issue, try to resolve it, or find alternative way to input my data. Sounds good to me.
Well, that's a bit. I've seen much worse user stories written by some people who were just applying to our product owner or product manager jobs. So this one is actually quite good.
The LLM isn't smart. I would say it's as smart as the good context we provide.
Yeah.
So the more context and more very precise information we put in, the better output from the LLM workaround will be.
Can we do an experiment right now? Like, could we ask it to actually write user stories without providing the template?
We can try.
Let's see what happens. Yeah, like just to spot the difference, or maybe it already has it in its memory, so most probably it won't be very different. But let's try it.
I can use the Gemini tools to reset the memory, and then because when I'm asking it now to do some kind of user stories again, it probably use the same template because it's already in a context in a memory.
In a thread that we use.
So it's like memory reset. Oh, refresh. Bah.
We just erase its brain. Yeah.
Yeah, we now in a clean state of our memory, and we can ask it again. Okay, please. I shouldn't use a please.
Of course you can. I don't mind.
Okay, please create best user story you can based for the scenarios from, and here this is on. Then write it to file temp. We see what happens.
Yeah.
Could be that it reached the internet to check what that means, because in standard tools is web fetching, but I don't know. We'll see. I have never tried actually.
Regardless the results, like at Pragmatic Talks, we always want to have things standardized. So this kind of solution that you showed with templates for user stories could be very good for just using the standards that we have.
So it seems that it doesn't work. I will try again. Memory refresh. Create best user stories based on the scenario from. Write it to file Okay. We see. Actually, memory refresh doesn't remove everything. Oh, it's something. I see what happened. Because daemon already exists. Okay, let's try without it. I move it to trash.
A few moments later.
So here we go.
It finally get there. So we see there's like scenario 2, variable connected failure. It just writes a simple user story. It doesn't provide you with the acceptance criteria and maybe the scenario. It's just a simple user story. So it's patient. I want to be informed as a user because it is not getting that anticipation. On the variable connected phase, I want to receive the clear error message, have the option to retry, be able to. So it's actually provide a lot of information which actually can be different user stories.
Yeah. So yeah, as you can see, it's not so obvious if you are not using templates, if you are not providing a context, then those models are actually generating something that is not any useful. And seeing something like this, like when I mentioned before that I've seen many worst user stories written by people who are meant to join us as product managers. This is the level of people who are juniors in product management. I'm not surprised that so many people are claiming that AI is not working or is not good enough to actually replace anybody's work. In most cases, it's not because the AI is not good enough. It's because people are not using it properly or you don't know how to use it properly.
This is the tool, and this tool have some limitation. And if one doesn't understand the limitation and do not know how to like omit this limitation or do something in the way that this limitation doesn't, there are not the blockers anymore, then it doesn't work. You have to understand what you're doing, and then with your knowledge as a specialist, you can get very nice and valuable output.
AI can leverage your expertise the other way around.
Okay, so now we have the file. Maybe I will remove this dummy user stories, but we have these user stories which being created with the template. And okay, now I have it here. I would like the team check it. We can discuss it during the refinement process. We need to estimate it. And then maybe when we get some more information, we can enrich it. But first, those information needs to be there to be very transparent in a place where we looking at them together.
We don't want to hold our backlog in this kind of MD file somewhere in the project. Yeah, like there are much better tools for that.
Yeah. So we have to somehow move them to our tool. We're using Jira.
So of course we can copy paste this.
We can copy paste. It takes a couple. If let's say you have 50 of them,
but we are a little bit more smart than that.
yeah, maybe. What it allows us here in Gemini CLI, it allows us to define the MCP servers.
So what is MCP server for those who are not familiar with AI?
MCP is a protocol which allows the models to connect with some tools, external services.
So those services usually are providing their own API or the MCP servers.
Yeah, and these MCP servers don't need to be like you when you connect to this tool. You have all the possibilities that the owner can define which function you can use. Yeah, sometimes they're quite open, and fortunately, Altacian is very open and I'll give us a lot.
Yeah, so Jira is a nice tool to use together with AI.
I'll agree with that. Maybe we can find a different tool which also is very good for using the AI as well. But Jira definitely is. And I've created the Jira, and this is the Jira. You see, what I need to know, I need to know the key. So it's GC, and sometimes I need the board number if I have more than one. Of course, these numbers also can be like put into the context or into the command. But for this process, I didn't do that, so I can show you that when I provide this information, it works. But first of all, let's show the people who's watching us hearing what we are talking about, the MCPs I have. When you have MCPs and they are defined in settings, here we have some kind of structure in JSON. There will be some keys, but I will change them after the meeting to be sure that we secure that. But when I define those in MCP servers, and there are different ways to do so, I can shortly describe it. So you can use the Docker file. So you can Dockerize some MCPs and open this Docker on your personal computer and connect it. And actually, my Jira is working in this mode. You can also open, run the MCP from the repository repo and run it on your computer. So not like it will be like locally on your computer, not in a Dockerized part. And the third one, which I am sometimes using, is N8N. In N8N, there is a specific node which called MCP trigger, and you can add some tools to it. And it provides you the URL to the MCP, and you can use it here. When you have your N8N server and you create the workflow with MCP trigger, then you can use it as well here. So yeah, sometimes it's helpful. So to see your MCPs, you see I also put the backslash, so I have an access to the tools. MCP is the standard tool, but you need to put in a command list if you want to see what you have there. And you see that I have a couple of them. Actually, I showed you at the beginning that when we started, it started with 5 tools. So I have the two first, email and Slack. They are from N8N. Mirrorboard, this is also very nice because we're using it often here in Pragmatic Talks. So Mirrorboard is stand on my local machine. So I just run npm run dev. For those which don't understand, we just run the software from the repository room directly. And for Perplexity and Jira, these two are from the Docker. And you see Perplexity Ask, Jira Native, you see the tools which are provided by this MCP. So for Perplexity, we have the 3, but we don't need any more, I guess. But for Jira, there's a lot of getting things from different places and creating things in different places. So it's a lot of things which you can do with Jira. The same with Miro. And then for Slack, because it's N8N MCPs, I only put those tools I needed. So we can extend it, of course, anytime we going into the N8N, we can extend it and have more function available. Okay, so let's go to Jira, because as we remember, we created these user stories. We have a couple of them. I don't remember, it was 5 without one because we start from the second. So this is 4 user stories. Let's create them. So to call the MCP, I just need to use the same stuff as we're doing with the files, but MCP is not visible. When I'm doing this mark, the add, I see only the files. I don't see MCPs. So I need to remember the name. My name is Jira /native. That's my name. You can put Jira or just J if you want in the setting JSON file. And then now we call it. We don't need to define the tool, the function. We need to describe in human way what we want to do.
MCP is doing this for us, like it's choosing the right tool for the job that we are describing it.
It happens when you're describing it not well, that it jump to different tool and
it can create a mess. Yeah, so you need to be very specific when you're defining what you want from MCP.
Exactly. So we need to now call the MCP. I call it by the name. I have it in my setting JSON. And so now the MCP knows which function use. I need to just describe it. I describe it like create all user stories from the risk user stories in the project with key ID DC and board number 332. So this number, so the key and board number can be put into the context. I didn't do that for this to show you what's actually going in. When I execute it, the MCP calls proper tool and using our file and define user stories to create them in our backlog in Jira.
Yes.
Based on the file at risk_user stories md add also description based on the data you have in the file. Let's check what happens. So now it's reading the files and trying to process this data, and it should call the MCP server. Okay, so I need to confirm. We have 4 because we have only 4 scenarios, so it creates only 4 user stories. You see the payload which has been sent into the MCP server, and it informs us that it creates 4 user stories.
Let's refresh, and here we are.
And as you see, we have these 4 user stories, all of them with the number, and we will have them also as a file. We can save this information into our context. But you see that they have also acceptance criteria, they have scenarios, and the same description of the user stories as we have previously in the file.
Yeah.
So it automates the process, Let's say that after the workshop with the client, you create the user story map with hundreds of user stories. And you do the same stuff as I did in Gemini CLI. And you would like to create the backlog to start the project with the client. It takes now minutes.
I can imagine that we are using, we have transcription of the meeting, for example. Then we, for example, use the summary of the meeting, and then we put this transcription as a context for that. And then we can generate the entire backlog based on the summary.
Yeah.
What we are currently doing, we are preparing the standardized notes format from each meeting with a client, with stakeholders, especially the initial workshop, etc. So based on the standardized input, we can generate even better output for LLM.
Exactly. But as we discussed at the beginning, I've created user stories from maybe some discussion with the client, maybe after some workshop. But these files need to be, these user stories need to be refined.
Yeah.
So the entire team need to look at it and define how to do this. Here we define at the moment what do you want to achieve only.
Yeah.
As I previously mentioned, we have this MCP I have here. We have Miro. Let's check if we can add the sticks to the Miro so the team can work with this Miro.
Let's do this. Let's try to add it to the Miro, and let's try to do some human work, not only AI work on that.
Okay, fortunately, our MCP is called Miro, so I don't need to remember much of the name. So I call it the same as Jira by the name. Please add the keynotes to the board based on these user stories we have.
Do you need to provide the name of the board, or you already have it in the settings?
As I remember, when you connect to the Miro, you have to define the board. So it's always the same. Bad thing about the Miro MCP is that it doesn't recognize the place on the entire board. So it put it somewhere.
Okay.
Sometimes it put it like
On the top of something.
big stacks of the sticky notes. Miro also doesn't understand if something, when you're reading it, if something lying on the frame, for example.
Okay.
So you cannot say, I have a frame with name, read all the data which is on the frame. It doesn't work. I find the manual overcoming. You need to name the let's say these sticky notes with some keyword like a tag. And we say, let's say our project is the Vitalis, so we call it Vitalis. And now when I read me all the sticky notes which have a tag Vitalis, then it comes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's not perfect.
I'm pretty sure that Pure sooner or later will figure out how to work on the frame.
Could be, but in my opinion, at the moment, just the architecture of a Miro doesn't allow you to make this distinguish that something lying on something. It will help a lot because sometimes you just create a frame, put the sticks there, and you should think about this, but it's not allowing it.
So if anyone from Miro is watching us,
please fix it.
Or put it on your backlog.
Or explain us how to do it, because at the moment MCP Miros actually doesn't help me with that. So shipping awesomeness, whatever that means.
Or like this is a trick for people who are impatient to make them busy.
Okay.
Since it works, let's see.
Check Miro. Okay, let's find where they are. Now we have the entire thing which were in our backlog put into the sticky note. Maybe it doesn't look very nice because it's not formatted well, but it's already there. I can put a couple of enters here and there, and I can start meeting with the team.
And of course, we can create our own command that will, for example, only provide with the user story title, or that we can add this kind of spacing, formatting, etc. to that, like template or whatever for the sticky notes.
But it's just showing you how quickly we can go from our work with the project context into some output like user stories, and we can forwarding it to the other parties to discuss. Let's imagine that we have refinement with the team, and we adding additional sticks. Let's say the sticks will be like some technical items for the user story. Let's say A, and we can call it like here user story A. Yeah, when we do this stuff, when we finish, we can tell the MCP server to read it back, and then we have additional information. So we can say, let's enrich information we have based on the information getting from the our team, for example.
Mhm.
And it works as well.
So basically, we can tell the AI to actually read the results of our brainstorming, of our refinement here in Miro,
Yeah.
and put all of the things that we discussed with our team into the user stories that are in Jira. So we don't need to bring them.
Usually, I first put it into the files into the Gemini CLI because I believe that each iteration we do, we expand our context.
Mhm.
The more context, as I said at the beginning, the better for us. Of course, we need to smartly manage with this context because if the file is too big, it doesn't have proper sections, the model get crazy.
It just came to my mind that we can also create a command for that. Yeah, so we can have the process that is like a multi-step process. That first we update the MD file and then we update the Jira stories and other way around.
Yeah. Well, we can define what we want exactly to be precise to LLM. But the challenge for the user with using this is to think in context. If you see that your context is too big, maybe it's a time to split it by some key, or maybe it's a time to compress it. Sometimes it's also when you have a very long history, maybe not everything is relevant at the moment, and maybe all this information you have already has some outcome. So let's compress it to the outcome and keep on in the outcome. And
just remember that AI models have a limited context window, so it will not remember all of the things that you are telling to it. It will just remember the last conversations and just a couple of files that you can add to this context window.
Okay, let's say you are my client and I would like to ask you something about the user story I created. I can send you email also. I'm not going into my email, copy over everything what I want. I just maybe want to use the my Gemini CLI, so the center of my command.
Yeah.
And because as you previously saw, one of the MCPs I have in my tool is this based on N8N email. So I can also maybe at the moment in this fake project, I doesn't have the template for a very nice structured email for my client. But hopefully it's good for you just to check it.
By the way, whenever you work with clients, with stakeholders, I could recommend you to rather call them than writing the email. But in case you're living in a world where emails are still the main form of communication, you can use this kind of MCP service and CLI for actually automatizing your work and sending emails or sending Slack messages as well.
Yeah, I can do that, but at this moment, my Slack message is on to my internal team.
Yeah.
So it's not related to this fake project. Yeah. But normally during the daily work, even yesterday evening, I've created some bunch of user stories for today's refinement, and I sent all these user stories with numbers to the team. So they, at the morning before they start work, they know at which numbers on each user story they need to look before the refinement starts. I also hear the perplexity ask. So this is the stuff which can also help the product managers or project managers do some research. Yeah? I can do research. Let's say I have some kind of new feature to implement, and maybe I have in my Gemini MD defined some competitors. So I can ask Perplexity from here. Here I have the context of my new feature, which we discussed, good for business. Let's check how it works and what our competitors have in the same context.
Awesome.
And after a couple of minutes, we got some kind of document which summarized all this information. So help us to make a decision.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that we've shown enough for today. I believe that many people are right now thinking, okay, that looks a little bit like a magic. So where someone could learn how to work that way? What are the learning sources for
Okay,
this kind of
yeah.
stuff?
So I would say you need to read between the lines, because what I base on is only the Gemini CLI documentation. Actually, everything is there.
One thing is that reading documentation, like read the manual.
Yeah.
And the second thing is you need to figure out your own processes. Yeah, like people when want to work like this, they need to figure out how they are working, what is something that they are repeating every day, and they need to create their own commands, their own templates for this kind of stuff. And I'm pretty sure that someone who has already standardized their work one way or another, they will not have a problem with just learning another tool and adding this tool on the top of this standardization and just automatize a lot of things and speed up with their development. But if someone is working in a very chaotic way, they may struggle a lot with using AI. When you're automating chaos, you just have a lot of chaos. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I saw other people trying different stuff. I'm using here Gemini CLI, but I also recognize some people abroad who's using Cloud Code. Do the same thing.
Yeah.
Actually work the same.
That's not the only tool you can use for that.
Absolutely. What is scary for people is about of work which maybe need to be included before this tool on this process pay off. For me, it takes a couple of weeks, maybe, doing stuff after work. But my assumption is that when, let's say, I would try to explain someone who have a bit of technical skills. You don't need to be a developer. You don't need to actually understand the code to start working with this. It looks scary, but with someone who can guide you after 2-3 hours, you can start using it, and then it bringing more and more value with the time.
Yeah, and I think that for the product managers who will start using tools like Visual Studio Code or if they will start using console commands, etc., they will better understand, if they never did it in the past, they will better understand how developers work. And that may also help in the communication and in being efficient in this role. Okay, so of course, if you have any comments, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to put them into the comments under this episode on YouTube or wherever else you will see them. And let us know if you would like to see maybe some more detailed workshop or webinar where we'll show you how to step-by-step configure your own product or some dummy product and using CLI step-by-step explained. So you can use it on your own, or just let us know if there is any other topic around using AI in our day-to-day job that we can share with you that might be interesting for you. So thank you very much, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.